let's continue on with solving 8.1 homework stuff. And so we're going to move on to the word problem. So we're looking at number 55 here and 56. So I drew it out for you. I mean, 56 is the same thing, just different angles. But really, we're trying to solve for what's across the deep canyon where you across the river. All right. So I'm trying to find R and S, that distance R and S. So really, that's just, I mean, I could just do little t if I wanted to. That's just little t. This would be little s, and this would be little r, right? So I want to use law of sines. So law of sines, what two sides am I given? So I'm not given two of the same thing, right? I'm trying to find little t, which is rs, but I'm not given that, so, or I'd be done. I'm given little s, but not given angle s, right? But I do know two sides of a triangle. So can I find out the third side, right? So here we go. So you could do this. I have 102. I'm just going to leave it that there. And I have 32:50 minutes, right? So this, I could subtract this from 180, right? Or I can convert these first. But I don't even think I don't even have to convert those, right? I mean, because I can add these up. That would be 70, which is just one more degree in 10 seconds, or 10 minutes, sorry. And so that's 135. So I can subtract that from 180. And 180 is just, I don't have my minutes, so can I just steal a degree and get 60 minutes? And so that instead of 180 would be 179. And then can I just subtract these? All right, so that'd be 50 minutes. And then that'd be 4 and 4, 44, right? 44 degrees in 50 minutes, which we found from the last problem. If I just take 50 and divide it by 60, right, that gives me 0.83. So I got 44.83. So now I do have an opposite side and an opposite angle. And now I can go ahead and find little t because I have the opposite angle, big T, right? So I'm trying to find little t, which is RS. I do have that angle, 32, and 50 is just 50 divided by 60, which is 0.83. And I do have little s already, 582, and now I have the angle, 44.83. So now I can multiply both sides by sine of 32.83. And I'll get my t, which is rs. And so I get 447.6, so 448. There you go. Just using law of sines and making sure, because law of sines, you always have to have one side and its opposite angle. Okay, so that's where you had to start. So we had to figure out what that opposite angle was first, because we were given the two angles of a triangle. All right, words, 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 and more words, and then some more words you got going here. So we have a ship due north, right? So I'm going to read through yours. I'm not going to do yours. You have to do yours. But it's sailing due north, right? So you're going due north. And at a certain point, the bearing of a lighthouse is 12.5 kilometers away. Northeast, north, 38.8 degrees east, right? So that means you're going off of the second bearing way, right? So north, and then you're going to the east. So that is going this way. So that means your direction is going that way. Okay. So it's located 38.8 degrees here. So that means here's the here's the ship. Come on now. Here's the ship, and then here's the lighthouse, right? So the ship is going north, and then it's bearing towards the lighthouse. How do I spell lighthouse? It's with an L. That's all I know. And that is for 12.5 kilometers, right? And then later on, the captain notices that the bearing of the lighthouse is south. So that means you continue to go north, right? So that's the first point. And then here at a different one, so you travel way up here, you're still going north, right? And then notices the bearing of that same lighthouse. So the same lighthouse right here has a bearing of south. So that means I'm going off of this line and going to the east. And it's traveling that way to the lighthouse of 44.2. So that means really you have a triangle, right? Which I have lots of words here, but hopefully you can see your triangle, right? So here's your triangle right here, right? And you want to find how far did the ship travel between the two observations of the lighthouse. So how far is this distance right here to right here? Okay, so you're given one side and the opposite angle. Okay, you're trying to find this, but you don't have its opposite angle. But you do have two angles of a triangle. So it's kind of like the last one we just did. Okay, there you go. Have fun. I guess I'll do the same thing here. Mine's off a different bearing. So I have a radio finder, point A and point B. They're on the east-west line. So there's east-west line. A is west of B, so that's correct. I drew it correctly. And they're 3.46 miles apart, right? From A, a bearing of a certain radio transmitted is 47.7 degrees. Okay, so what that means is, I'll bring this down a little bit. Oh, jeez. Fun. Every little part. Okay, so I have just that bearing is just 47.7. So what that means is it's off of a just straight north bearing, right? So that means north bearing of 47 degrees, right? Here would be 90, so 47 is probably somewhere about half, so going this way. There's the radio transmitter, right? 47.7. Okay, and then a second from B, the bearing is off of north because it doesn't give me east, west. It doesn't have numbers north, east here. Okay, so that means it's all off a north line. So north line, and I'm going clockwise all the way 302. So I said this was 90, this would be 180, this would be 270. So that would be 30 more, right? 30 more, 32.5 more. So that means this is my triangle from A to B, which I know, then right here, right? And this is beautiful 32.5. I also know I can figure out this, right? Because this is 90 and this is 47, so I can subtract the two. So 0.3, so 2.3 would get me to 50. So 42.3. So now it's the same pretty much thing, right? I can figure out what this angle is, right? Just by adding those two and subtracting from 90, right? So then I have the opposite angle with this opposite side that I'm given. And I'm trying to find where? Find the distance from A. So I'm trying to find this right here, which would be little b if I have angle B here. Okay. So I'm trying to find that. And I don't know angle B, right? 32.5. Because 270 minus, or 270 minus 302.5 is 32.5. And I do know opposite of, I'm going to let this be C. So I know that is 33.46. But again, I don't know this angle, right? But I can figure it out by taking the 42.3 plus 32.5 and minusing 180. So I get 105.2. Okay. So then I can just go ahead and solve this, multiply both sides by sine of 32.5. Multiply both sides by sine. That's a sine of 32.5. And there I have my little b. So my little b is 1.93. Kilometers, what is it in? Sure, right? Miles, it's in miles. So remember that area of a triangle is half a base times height. Well, when I'm doing with any type of triangle, my height I can create, right? Either inside or, you know, if I need to, I can create that height on the outside, right? So I can always find my height, and I can find it with sine and cosine and tangent. All right, so if I have these sides labeled A and A, C, little c, big B, little b, right? I can take sine of A, which is opposite, which is little a, over the hypotenuse, right? So what I'm really looking at is this bigger triangle here. Sorry, and not the big triangle, the little triangle. The little triangle right here, right? Because height, this would be 90, so I can use opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite would be h over hypotenuse, which would be little c, right? So that would be my height, right? So sine of a would be my height, so that would be sine of a times c. Multiply both sides by c. There we have our h, c times sine of a. Okay, so that is my h. Now I have my base, so this is my base. And my base of this triangle is actually little b, right? Little b. So basically, if you have a different triangle labeled differently, you would have your base be different. So your base changes with whatever letter. So that's how we're going to work these. We're going to use this area formula when we have two sides and an angle. So when we have side, angle, side, side, angle, side. Okay, so notice that none of these letters are the same, right? That's how we get side, angle, side. That's how the angle's right in the middle of here. Okay, so how we're going to do this is area is equal to 1/2 the base. Okay, and that base can change times sine of a. That will give us our area. So this a right here in the book is a fancy a, because you can't use that same a right there. And then times c, right? We'll put that c in there. Or it could be this 1/2 of a c sine of b. Or it could be 1/2 of ba sine of c. All right, just depends on what you have and what you're trying to find. So whatever angle I have, my two sides have to be opposite of, or not opposite of that, different than that. I can't have the opposite side. So if I have angle C, that means I'm going to have A and B. If I have angle B, probably said that wrong. If I have angle C, I have the sides A and B. If I have angle B, then I have sides AC. And if I have angle A, then I have the other sides B, C. And I can plug this in. So I have C. So I'm going to enter in 72, sine of 72.2 times AB. So 43.8 times 35.1. And I'm going to take half of that. And then times by half, or 0.5. So I want to multiply all that out. And that's going to give my area. So you use one of those three formulas. So area is 732 square feet, or feet squared, as one of your other teachers might call it. Okay, same thing for 81. finding the area. And this one's a little bit different because we're actually given two angles. And like I said, this one we have two angles, so we have side, angle, side, angle. So this one's a little bit different, two angles and the sides in between those. So that means that we need to use law of sines to figure out what our other side is, right? So I can either solve for side C or side A. So it doesn't really matter. So if I do side A, then I wanted to solve for, first I need to solve for angle B, which I can easily do that, right? So 59.8 degrees, and then plus 53.1 minus that from 180, right? So 180 minus those two. So I get 67. So angle B is 67.10 degrees. And then B is 15 meters. So I multiply both sides by sine of 59.80. And so I get little a is 14.07. So there's little a. My answer's not done. Now I can do my area formula. And because I solved for a, that means that I have A, I have B, and now my angle would be using C. Okay? Because whatever two sides you have to have the other side that's missing, its angle. And then 1/2 of that. So that's 1/2 times 14.07 times 15 times sine of 53.10. And I could do the same thing. I could have did the same thing with solving for side C. I would just use angle A here, side C here, still side B. Okay, so it's all fine. And I get 84.41 square meters. And so there's your answer for the area. And why that answer is a little maybe different than your calculator, because I use this there's some decimals that keep on going. So they probably just left that in your calculator, multiplied it by B, and then sine of C, and times it by 1/2. But there's the answer. All right, that's it.